I'd like today to talk about reading philosophy. Reading philosophy books is different from other books. You should think of it as like reading a martial arts manual or an exercise manual. That is, you are not going to be able to read, unless you're like a genius or something, a philosophy book from first page to last page and understand it. It's not a type of book that you just read once and go, interesting. You have to actively engage with the material. You have to read, think about it, and you're probably going to have to reread it a lot. And the only way I survived philosophy classes is because I would read a book from beginning to end, and then I'd put it down, and I'd drink some coffee, and I'd turn to page 1 and start over. I would literally have to do that with all philosophy classes. I had to do that. I'd read it all the way to the end, and then a little bit later start from page 1, because you have to do that with philosophy, because books are not they're not there to just impart information. They're there to impart a method of thinking about the information as well. So you have to read and then stop and try to digest what you just read. And in order to fully understand it, you have to reread it several times. In fact, I was doing a paper once, and I had to reread the same paragraph literally about a dozen times. Like, I'm not exaggerating. That's how many times I had to read it to barely understand it, because in that particular instance, someone was trying to do a theory without one of the key elements of the theory, and he had to do some crazy logical pretzels in order to get it to happen. The pretzel analogy is because pretzels are all twisted up and stuff and all knotted. But yeah. So, it's not like fiction, which holds your hand through a storyline, and you have to stop once in a while in fiction to think about what you've just read. But philosophy doesn't do any hand-holding. In science, it tells you a lot, but it's hard to engage with science books if you don't have a laboratory. Because science can't be done from an armchair. And although it makes philosophy bad to say it, philosophy actually can, for the most part, be done from an armchair. So I can just sit in this chair right here and do philosophy. You can't do that with science. And non-fiction in general, it's hard to engage with the material in the sort of intimate way you engage with it when it comes to philosophy. So think of philosophy more as an exercise or an activity when it comes to reading philosophical material than it is just reading it. You're engaged in an activity when you read a philosophy book. In the same way that you'd be engaged in an activity if you're reading a manual in martial arts or exercise and carrying out martial arts moves and exercise moves while reading from your manuals. So yes, that's an important thing to keep in mind if any of you are interested in philosophy, and check out any philosophy books from the library. Yeah.